Hey Internet, I'm Chris, and welcome to the place on the Internet where I talk about comics, movies, games, and generally anything I'm passionate about. Last video, I talked about Absolute DC, this new initiative, universe, headed by Scott Snyder that's been heavily leaked, rumored, that'll be a little bit like Marvel's Ultimate Universe. Now those leaks are official. DC has come out, said those are all real. The architect of these new universes, not new universes because there's only one new, but there's a new initiative, DC All In, headed by Scott Snyder, Josh Williamson. Williamson has been basically the architect of the DC universe for the last few years, heading Superman, wrote Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. So we're in a place now where we're heading into San Diego. They've announced this new initiative, DC All In, that's going to be coming in October. Now, what does that mean? Initiative, new universe, reboot, retcon. When it comes to DC, all these things are not ever clear. But I'll let Scott Snyder explain it.
This thing we want to kind of communicate to you guys is this is not a retcon or a reboot or something like that. It's a celebration and expansion of the great storytelling that's been happening at DC. What it is it's an invitation to jump in. What we were able to kind of do is create a story that in October will have every book starting a new arc. Some of them are continuing on the sort of storylines that they've been on, but it will be a jumping on point. Some of them will be brand new books over in the Absolute Universe. There'll be new books in the main universe. We're going to have brand new origin stories. From October on, everywhere you look at DC Comics will be a story beginning, a place to start. There'll be incentives for retailers that will reveal at San Diego. There'll be incentives for you guys that will reveal at San Diego. But the goal of this, like I said at the beginning of this, is All In is a rallying cry. It's saying comics are awesome. Comics have been awesome. Comics will always be awesome. It will be the place where you can tell the biggest and best stories with these characters ever. And what we want is to communicate to you that right now we're all in as a company. All the creators, all the editors, everybody has bought into this idea of let's all take our biggest swing together at one moment because we haven't done it in a while.
Does that explain it? Not really. But in the end, the important part is that we have some really great creators that are going to be working on some great books at DC that will hopefully bring in some excitement and new readership, because we've talked about this in the last two videos that I've done. They are struggling in terms of market share. They've lost a bit. It's kind of their number two by default, and there's not really any excitement about these titles. Like, if you're a DC fan, obviously you probably like what's going on. I like a lot of the comics, but there's nothing incredibly exciting or anything I can get people to jump in on. So what this is meant to be, as Scott put it and Josh, is that a line-wide, company-wide initiative that will create these new story arcs that are all jumping on points. And even the Absolute Universe, which is meant to be the Ultimate Universe, will be tied into the main universe, as there's an event, or I wouldn't say event, but something happens during Absolute Power with Darkseid that ties these new universes and, creates this Absolute Universe that will be headed by Scott on Absolute Batman. You have Jason Aaron and Rafael Salvador on Superman, and then you have Kelly Thompson, and I forget the artist, on Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, I gotta say, is probably the best design of this new universe. They gave her a Buster Sword, some tattoos, so I'm down for that. And Kelly Thompson's been killing it. I just picked up Powerpuff Girls. Scarlet is probably one of the best G.I. Joe titles out, or Energon titles. So there's a lot of great creative teams, and from the past 24 hours, you've seen some incredible creators like Ram V, Wes Craig, Dan Waters, all share that they're all in with DC. Even though some of their titles have not been announced yet, that is exciting when you're able to get creators that people know, and hopefully give opportunities to newer creators that, may be great, but have not had that sort of platform to get new readership. And during the video where they announced it, I think that was probably the highlight in terms of what Josh and Scott were talking about. If you think about it, both of them came from places where they were given a big opportunity, Josh on Flash, Scott on Batman, to really elevate, and they've gotten to the point now where they're heading the DC universe now. So with DC All In, hopefully it does better than Infinite Frontier or some of the other initiatives that they've done in the last few years that have kind of been saying the same thing in terms of getting people excited for these characters and these books, but have fell flat just because the reality is with DC, if everything matters, nothing matters. You know, hey, there's always going to be a crisis or anything that resets this or that. And even this with this newer announcement, it kind of makes you go like, all right, like, so I'll just wait till Absolute's power is over. I don't really need to read it until the end whenever Darkseid comes in and, you know, creates this new Absolute world. So yeah, I mean, it goes to a lot of what we've been talking about these past two videos, and with DC sort of um, figuring out ways to get people back. And, you know, it doesn't hurt to bring some of the biggest creators in comics to do a line-wide initiative to get people excited, you know, along the lines of like an Energon or a Ultimate Universe at Marvel. This is something they've really needed. So even though we've known it's been coming, it's great to kind of get that confirmation, see some great artwork, see what creators are involved, and hopefully they've learned their lessons from previous initiatives that drop off. Another exciting thing about what was announced is that a lot of the Absolute titles, at least the ones that were announced, are all ongoing, no miniseries, which will give readers and shops the confidence to buy into this new initiative. And I think that's a start. So yeah, what do you think? Let me know. I'm on vacation, so if this looks weird, I'm trying to stay consistent. Doing this by a pool if the sound doesn't sound too great. So let me know what you think about this video. And later.